bother you? Or can you sit by and watch it blow over? Something's happening here that I'll never understand. I'm oblivious. If he's trying to rule, nothing's gonna change your mind. I'm oblivious.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody that's here. If you're live, please be using chat if you have any questions as we go along. If you're watching this later, the chat window should be there, so you should be able to see anybody's questions that they ask. Hey, Vicky, good to see you. So let's get started. First things first, let's go over our rules for e-learning, distance learning. One of the things I said in my stream on Wednesday with Latin Jazz Band 2 is that just because we're not on campus doesn't mean we aren't still having class, because class is us. Me, you, students, teachers, people here to learn. Hey, Bernie. People that are here to learn, whether we're doing it on our campus, our beautiful campus with all of our classrooms and resources and everything there, or we're doing it at home, this is still learning time, still lesson time. With that in mind, make sure we're using the chat window appropriately. We've had issues in other classes with people. Hey, Paula. We've had issues in other classes with people spamming things that are not relevant to class going on, so please don't do that. So let's get started. First of all, I hope you all found it by now, but in our Schoology page, if you go to your class for Latin Jazz Band 1, there's a new folder. All right, see people showing up. That's cool. We have a new folder here called the e-learning folder. In there is everything you need for our time away from class, our time away from our campus. One of the things is our announcements. This is where I'll put all of my live streams. And in that folder, I'm activating student progress. So for every one of our videos, you have to go through and watch it, and it'll keep track of who's seen it. When you open it up, it'll show you the video that I've uploaded to YouTube. This is what I'm using along with our chat logs to keep track of who's participating for our life skills, for our punctuality and collaboration and participation life skills. So those people that are actively participating in chat and people making sure that we're watching all of the videos that I assign here in this folder will get full life skills points. If you're missing stuff, you won't get full life skills points until we're back at school. The next folders are where your instrument teachers, Jenny and Santi and Melanie and Danielle, will be posting their homework videos. So make sure you're checking those. Those will be going from Friday. The one for this week should be due tonight. I need to check with Melanie and see why the trumpet one is not there. But that is due tonight at midnight. Trumpets, if we don't get it up there, we'll give you some extra time. Awesome. The last folder here is our Noteflight folder. And here is where I will post our theory homeworks. The first thing is a page that reminds you all of our login instructions. So first off, let's go through these together. First, you have to use this link to go to our Colegio Menor Noteflight site. If you search in Google or whatever for Noteflight and click on that link, it will take you to the wrong website. We have a private one just for us. So we got to make sure that you're using the right site. Second, your login should be your first name, space, last name, space, graduation year. Capitalization matters, and if you do it out of this order or you do an extra space, it won't read properly. This is different from your Power School Schoology login. An example right there, Ben space Garrett space 2003, because that's the year I graduated from high school so long ago. If for some reason you've forgotten your password and you can't remember it, you won't let you log in, you need to send me an email and I will reset the password to some sort of default password, and you'll have to create a new one next time you log in. So moving on from there, let's talk about our assignments. Your technique assignment is due tonight by midnight for your instrument teachers, except for trumpets, I think, because yours is missing. We'll figure out that. Next is our first Noteflight assignment. So if I open up my theory page, I see one called Corona Chronicles #1 with our instructions here. Go to our Colegio Menor Noteflight page, navigate to Community Latin Jazz Band 1 scores, open the score that's called LJB I - Corona Chronicles #1. And when you're finished, follow the instructions on the page and complete the assignment. Save your work and finish before next Friday. I'm about to go over this with you so you can see it. So for right now, I'm going to be going over the instructions on the Noteflight assignment. And for next week, it will be due. What do we do? Please tell us. I'm working through that right now. So, next, I'm going to go to our Noteflight page, our Colegio Menor Noteflight page. I'm going to go ahead and sign in as me. And I'm going to go find our assignment for this week. This should be the same place for all of you when you log in. You'll go up to the top where it says Community. And then you'll go and find our class, Latin Jazz Band 1. And then you go over here to Scores. And the first one with the little puzzle piece by it is your assignment for next week. That's your assignment to be finished by next week. When you open it, it should create your own version of it, and you can edit it and change it and complete the assignment. The first thing you need to do is go up here where it says your name here and enter in your name. So complicated, I know. But if you don't do that here, it becomes more of a pain for me to figure out who's finished it and who hasn't. So please, please, please put your name in here. Now we're going to start our lesson for today. We're going to go over some of this stuff together. And I'll show you which parts are for you to do and which parts are information. So, first part of this is just review from our exam from last semester. The first idea that we did last year is that we use these things called scale degrees to identify notes. So if we're looking at the B flat scale, that's a little loud, I'll turn that down in a second. We look at the B flat scale, we give it a number to the scale. So first note would be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7. And then again back to 1, because this note is the same as this note. It's just up an octave. You don't need to do anything in this first part. This is just information for you and for something to go back and refer to. The next part, you will do something. It says, use the lyrics tool to identify the scale degree of each note in B flat major. So if I look at this note, whether it's treble or bass, doesn't matter. I look at what note this is, I see that that is a D, and if I need to remind myself what note number that is, I can go back here and find it right there. And then I use the lyrics tool. The way you find the lyrics tool, there's two ways. One, you go over here to the side and look for text, and it's the first thing there, and you click on that, and it will open a little text box underneath, and I know that this is the third note, so I have to write in a 3 for that note. Yes, Camilo? Email that to me. I said that earlier in the video. If you don't know your password, you need to email me later, and I will take care of it. Right now, I'm just going to go through and explain the video. Explain the homework to all of you. So you would go through all of these two measures and identify what scale degree each of these notes is. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We've done this before. This is just a reminder. Next, moving on, we got to go review on intervals. An interval is the measured distance between two notes. We're going to look at the intervals between the notes of a major scale. We did this last semester, but this is a quick little review. If you have two notes that are the same pitch, it's exact same pitch, it's called a perfect unison. If they are the first note of the scale and the second note of the scale, and you play them together, no worries, Ana Paula. This interval is called a major second. First note and the third note, a major third. First note and the fourth note, a perfect fourth. First and fifth, perfect fifth. First and sixth, major sixth. First and seventh, major seventh. One and one up the octave is called a perfect octave. Let's play these and listen for a second so we remember what they sound like. Alright, so that's just a review. You don't have to write anything on this part. This is just reference for you so you can remember. But the next part, you do need to write in the intervals. Use the lyrics tool again. And actually, I have it saved up here on my little palette bar where it says lyrics. So all I have to do is select the note I want to write something on and hit lyrics. And I look at my pitches. The first note is a B, or a B flat really. The top note is an A. All I have to do is count up. Remember, the first note is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that this is a major seventh. And that's all I have to write in there. So let's see if somebody else can handle this. Looking at these intervals up here, the second interval has two notes of the exact same pitch. So in chat, please, can somebody tell me what the name of that interval is? Thank you, Mr. David. It is indeed a perfect unison, or a P1. So all I have to do is write in P1. And then we'll continue. Let's do one more in chat. Somebody tell me what this interval is, and then we'll move on to the next part of your homework assignment. Hey, thank you, David. Correct again. It is a perfect fifth. All I got to do is remind myself there's one. Whoa, let's get rid of that note. Count up. 1, 2. I'll put the note on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth note of the scale. 1 to 5. Perfect fifth. Excellent. So Reminder, real quick, that these are not the only intervals that exist. These are just the only ones you have to worry about right now. We will be looking at new intervals as we go on, but for right now, this is all you need to worry about. Now, for something new. And here is some new information, and I'm going to write some stuff in and explain. Right here, it says when you add a third and a fifth above a note, you create what we call a triad. It's a chord of 3 notes. So right here, what I've done, I'm going to use bass, is I've taken the B flat scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and I've added a third, 1, 2, 3, whoa, 1, 2, 3, and a fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are called triads. So I'm going to go ahead and write in the notes. Thanks, Ivana. This one would be the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, and the fifth note of the scale together. If I continue on, space, yes, 2, 4, 6, because it's the second, fourth, and sixth note of the scale. 3, 5, 7, 4, 6, 1, because the top note is the same as the first note, or the top note of the scale. Continuing on, should put these in the middle. Oh well. 5, 7, 2. Gorillas. What's a gorillas? 6, 1, 3, 7, 2, 5, and then back to 1, 3, and 5. So let's take a listen to what these sound like when we play all 3 of these notes together. Excellent. So that is when we add the third and the fifth above the bottom note, we create triads. So in chat, Ben, I am so confused. Oh no. ×2. Oh my goodness. Lots of confused children. So let's go back and review. Yes, you do have to do this. This is your homework for this week. Let's go back and review. So real quick, we have things called scale degrees. If you take your major scale and put a number to the number of the number in the scale it is. So the first note is 1, the second note is 2, the third note is 3, the fourth note is 4, the fifth note is 5, the sixth note is 6, the seventh note is 7, and back to 1 because it's really the same note, just up an octave. B flat and B flat. Cool. I think everybody understands that much. The next idea, and honestly the intervals were as review, we can just skip straight on to the triads. So what happens is we are creating chords. Chords are what happens when you have multiple notes happening at the same time. In this case, 3 different notes to make a triad. All I'm doing is stacking up a third and a fifth above whatever my bottom note is. If I took away, let's see if I can do this. If I take away the top 2 notes, all I'm doing is creating, no, come on, just you, there we go. All I'm doing is taking a major scale and adding notes on top of each one. Ooh, hang on, let's do this. There you go. It's just our major scale. All I'm doing is going up to the third note and adding it, and adding a fifth note on top of it, and doing that for each note of my scale. So here I have my scale degrees. The 3 notes I have in this chord are the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, and the fifth note of the scale. If I go back to my scale way up here, I see that that is B flat, D, and F, or 1, 3, 5. Okay, Vicky, can you try to explain to me there what it is you don't understand? Where am I? There we go. Let me put my notes back in while you're trying to explain. The last part. I'm going to continue on and we're going to see. Hey, let me explain what I'm doing as I'm writing these in. So all I'm doing is going up from whatever note is already written there, the fifth note of the scale, in this case F for bass clef, or F up here for treble clef. And I'm going up 3 notes, or up to the third note. 1. That would be the second, or 2 notes up. What the heck? Go up. And then adding a third note. Yes, Federico, sorry, man. And then adding a fifth note above that. So if I count the intervals between, I have the 1 note here to, a third note here, and a fifth note here. Or a 1, a root, a third, and a fifth. Do we just need to do it in our scale? Let me finish writing these in. There we go. In your clef, correct. You only have to do. Do we have this Noteflight? You do have this Noteflight. Yes, Federico, you do have to just do it in your clef. You don't have to write it for the opposite clef. So let's go through some of these and see if this doing the actual homework part of this explains it to some of you. And for everybody watching, we will be doing this video, this live stream right now will be uploaded to my YouTube channel, and it will be on your Schoology, so you can go back and reference this if you need to. So let's look at this first one. We are in the key of B flat. No. So let's change this chord to something a little easier and go. So if we're in the key of B flat, and since I see some trombones, I'm going to start with them. This note right here. Right now I'm on bass clef Samuel. This note right here, somebody in chat, the bottom note right here, tell me what scale degree would it be? What note of the scale is it? Is it the first note of the scale, the fifth note of the scale, something like, or what is it? And I can do it up an octave as well. Thank you guys. I see some ones. The first note right there. The next note, the D, what would that be in the scale? Thank you. And the top note, the F. As you wait 10 seconds to write it, because it's, there we go. 1, 3, and 5. So this part of your homework assignment, you have to just use the lyrics tool. Use the lyrics tool to identify the scale degrees in each triad. Let's try another one right here. Can somebody tell me all 3 scale degrees in this triad? We have E flat, G, and B flat. Right on. E flat would be the 4th note of the scale. G would be the fifth note of the scale, and then B flat. Whoop, almost. Not 2. Our top note is B flat, which is what note in the B flat scale? Yeah, there we go. So all I'm doing on this part is looking at the notes in this triad. I'm looking at the notes in this triad, and I'm identifying what note of the scale they are and putting it all together. Mr. Ramos, this is due next Friday. Before class next Friday. No, before class next Friday. Just like it is in Schoology. Your technique assignment, your playing assignment is due today. Gonna continue on, and I'll be sure to have some time at the end of class for some questions and answers. In a minute. So everybody, we need to take a listen here. You may have noticed when I played through here, okay, good. Trumpets do have a playing video. Excellent. I think maybe you just forgot to copy it over to the new folder. Cool. So you may have noticed that not all of these triads have the same sound. This one has a very different sound from this one. Yeah, I noticed that it's not in the folder. I'll move that after we finish class here. What you might have noticed is that they don't all sound the same. The triads that we built on 1, 4, and 5 have a very different sound from the ones that are on a 2, a 3, or a 6. They tend to sound, the ones that are built on 1, 4, and 5 tend to have kind of a happy sound. Playing assignment is due tonight at midnight. The ones that are on 1, 4, and 5 tend to have a pretty happy sound, and we call them major triads. So take a look. These are 2 different keys. But we're still doing the 1, 3, and 5 from the F major scale, the 4, 6, and 1 from the F major scale, and the 5, 7, 2 from the F major scale. And then we switch keys to C major and do the same thing. We're on a different key. We're on a different scale. So the 1 is a different note, but it still follows the same pattern. This Noteflight is due before class next Friday. Awesome. Now, if I compare that to the chords or triads that I make built on 2, 3, and 6, these are going to sound more dark and less happy sounds, more dark sounds. These we call minor triads. So take a listen to these. And just for comparison, here are the major triads again for listening. And here's the minors. All right. For some sort of bonus credit that I haven't decided what yet, who can look at this chord, this triad, and this triad and tell me what the difference is? Besides the key, besides that one is in C major and one's in F major, can somebody tell me which note or what is different between the two? Because they aren't the same. They do sound different. if there's a hint, the hint is in the key signature. Is the flat correct, Anna Paula? There is a flat note in the second chord. Which note is the flat chord? Or which note is a flat note? Anybody know which note is flat? Take a look at your key signatures and tell me which note is different between this chord and this chord. The B flat. Thank you, Anna Paula. So in this chord we have G, B natural, and D. Sorry, I was thinking bass clef. I'm crazy. B flat. Sorry, G, B. Dang it. G, B flat, and D. The second chord we have G, B flat. So here it's B natural, here it's B flat. And take a listen again to hear how they sound different with just that one note being different. To me, no, go back and play the one I want you to play. With just that one note different on those two chords. To me, this one sounds much more dark, much more evil and scary, whereas this one's nice and happy and pretty. So important to see that there's a difference there. If it's the 5-7-2 of the scale, it'll sound nice and pretty, but if you switch it over to a 2-4-6 in a different key, it's going to change how it feels and sounds. Now, for something completely different. We have a 1, a 4, and a 5 chord. We have a 2, a 3, and a 6 chord. There's one scale degree that is missing so far. And if you're in chat, please tell me what it is. We have 1, 4, 5, and 2, 3, 6. There's one that's missing. I wonder what it is. Somebody in chat, tell me, please. Well, not necessarily 5-7-2, but it's the 7. We have a 1-3-5. We have a 2-4-6. We have a 3-5-7. We have a 4-6-1. We have a 5-7-2. We have a 6-1-3. What we're missing is the 7. The reason is the 7 is very different from the other two groups. This one is special, and it has a very, very dark, ominous, scary, evil sound, and it's called a diminished triad. So if we go, all of these are different key signatures, but they're all the 7th. The chords built on the 7th scale degree on all of these different keys, so we can listen. And let's go back and compare it to some minors. And then some majors. I hope everybody can hear how they are very different. These, big and open and pretty. These, some darkness to it, maybe some sadness to it, and then these, like some stress or even like some frightened, some scaredness to them. Make it a little easier to hear. I'm gonna leave it there. So this whole page, there's nothing for you to write. This is just information to you on these different types of chords. We have major chords built on 1, 4, and 5. We have minor chords, minor triads built on 2, 3, and 6, and then diminished triads built on sevens. So they are different from each other. They should sound different, even if like the computer sound makes it a little hard to hear the difference. I trust me, I assure you they are indeed different kinds of sounds. All right, so the last page is the last thing you need to do for your homework for next week, and it is identifying these triads, and I've included steps. I've included steps for doing it. So, step 1 is identify the key. Look at the key signature and remember your circle of fifths to remind yourself what key it is. Second step, identify the scale degrees. This live stream ends before class ends, probably about 10 more minutes. We have about 10 more minutes. Here we go. So, second step, identify the scale degrees of the notes in the triad. Then you have to look at what scale degrees there are and determine, is it a 1, 4, and 5? Is it a major triad? Is it a 2, 3, 6, a minor triad? Or is it built on a 7 and is a diminished triad? So, let's look at this key signature right here. First off, in this measure, in this measure, there's nothing in the key signature, so that is what key? Somebody in chat, please. Thank you, Anna Paula. This is the key of C major, because your scale that has no sharps or no flats is your C scale. Easy peasy. Second step, identify the scale degrees. So looking at these 3 notes here, we have a C, an E, and a G. What scale degrees are those? What numbers of the scales are those? Excellent. We have a 1, a 3, and a 5. The first note, the third note, the fifth note of the scale. Thank you. Then the last step, I look at what was the first note. Is this a major, a minor, or a diminished chord? Major. Awesome. So then you just have to continue that step for the other 4 chords. And then in this one, we change keys to something else and do the same thing. And we change keys to do something else and do the same thing. And then we have one more key, but it's back to our easiest one, our B flat scale. All right. Now, very, very important when you're working on your Noteflight to hit the save button. If you do not hit the save button, it doesn't save. And if it doesn't save and you do all your work, that would be really, really disappointing. How do you put major? All I did was clicked on where it said quality and typed it in. Yeah, you only write it. You only have to write it. Exactly, Anna Paula. All I did was click where it said quality, and then I wrote it in. If for some reason you delete this, and you don't remember how to get it back, it's just the lyrics tool. You click on the note, you go find lyrics, and if for some reason you forget, remember the guide is really good. Lyrics. If I could type today, that would be helpful. Lyrics, and it'll show you where to go, and it'll, no, what did I do? I clicked the wrong button. There we go. And it'll open the box, and you can write it again. Is this a major? 1. Nope, this is, yes it is, that's a 4th. Because that is, oh no. 4, 6, 1. And I'm adding notes here. Okay. So real quick, I'm going to review the whole document so you know exactly what you have to write and what you don't have to write. First thing, you don't write anything. This is just for reference to remind you about scale degrees. The second group, yes, you do have to write things. You have to tell me what scale degree each note is. The next thing, you do not write anything in this next chunk. This is just information, review on intervals. Here, these two groups right here, I want you to tell me what interval they are. Practice writing out P1, M7, P5, P4, whatever it happens to be. And you do that by clicking the note, going to your lyrics tool, and writing the interval name down there. In this case, a perfect fourth. And you do that for all of these. The next chunk right here, you do not write anything. This is just to show you about triads. But here it's your turn. You look at the three notes and tell me what scale degrees they are. And write them in using that lyrics tool again. In this case, that's a 1, 3, 5 again because we're in B flat. And I also haven't changed keys at all. If you were really desperate, you could look at the notes here and come up here and find where that is if you're really desperate. Now, this whole page, this whole next page is all information for you. This is nothing you have to write here. This is all information on major, minor, and diminished triads. And then the last page you do have to do. This is like the summative, not summative exam, but not like a summative grade, but this is the summative of everything previous in this homework assignment. You have to first identify the key signature. Second, identify the scale degrees in the triad. And third, tell me if it's a major, minor, or diminished triad. So we have about 5 minutes left in class. I'll stay on chat here for another 5 minutes or so if anybody has any specific questions. Otherwise, quick reminder, your technique assignment is due today at midnight, and this Noteflight assignment is due before class next week, because next week we're going to continue on and do something new. If you don't understand this, you're going to have a hard time doing the next part of the assignment. So I'm here on chat if anybody has questions. Otherwise, I'm going to put some music back on and chill out for a bit. Yes, I will find... There's no folder for trumpets. Let's look for that right now and see what's going on. I thought we had one, but if we don't, I will figure something out for you guys specifically. Thank you, David. Hope you guys have a great day, too. Jazz Band 1. Assignments, Noteflight, Corona Chronicles. Okay, I see that, Anna Paula. I will be in contact with you guys specifically on what to do. Trumpet players, there will be an assignment coming. There will be an assignment coming. For a playing assignment, but it won't be due today for you guys. We'll have a couple extra days. I think we just got lost on that one. I think Melanie got busy with her other work because it's been crazy. Bautier, no, I haven't played the Final Fantasy VII. It's only the demo right now, right? I don't think it's the full release. I've seen some clips of it. It looks really nice. See you later, Federico. Have a good day. And this video, again, will be up on YouTube probably as soon as I close the stream. All right. I am shutting down the stream. Looks like nobody has any specific questions. If you have problems logging into Noteflight, email me. Otherwise, have fun. There is nothing for you, Anna Paula, for today. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.